Now in this video we'll see how AutoRP is going to work. Now if you just get back to some of the basics what we have seen in the previous videos, like we must configure the RP in your PIM domain so that every source can send their PIM register messages and also the receivers can send some join messages. So RP is something we must configure if you are using IPPIM sparse mode so that the shortest path tree is built. Now there are multiple ways to configure the RP. Either we can manually define the RP by going to each and every router. That's what we have seen as static RP. But static RP is something not scalable in a large and a complex networks. Now we can go with something called dynamic RP configuration, and that can be done by two different ways. Either we can use a Cisco proprietary method of advertising the RP information, or we can use a standard method of advertising the RP information. Now in this video we'll see how the AutoRP is going to work, which is a Cisco proprietary feature. Now AutoRP is a method of providing the information about the RP to all the remaining routers. So all the routers are going to learn about the RP information automatically. Now there are two different devices or the roles which will make this possible, and that is one is candidate RP and mapping agent. Now in this setup we need to configure any one router as an RP. Like let's take an example. I'm going to configure the router 3 as an RP, and that will be referred as candidate RP. Now candidate RP is like the device who is advertising itself as an RP or willing to become an RP. Now in my scenario, I'm going to configure the router 3 loopback 0 13.001 as an RP information. So it's going to advertise to the rest of the domain saying that it's an RP on some address. Now the mapping agent is the one who is going to listen to that RP advertisements, and it's going to provide the information to the rest of the PIM domain. So which means the mapping agent, let's say in my scenario, I'm going to configure the router 4 as a mapping agent, and it's going to listen to that particular RP messages, and it's going to provide that information to all the remaining routers. So here in my scenario, the router 1 will automatically come to know that the router 3 is an RP based on the information provided by the mapping agent. Now it's not mandatory that you must use different routers for RP and mapping agent. You can still make the same router to be configured as RP as well as the mapping agent. Now here are two different roles. The one is candidate RP and the other one is mapping agent. Now let's see how it works. We'll get into the configuration wise. It's just a 2-line commands. We'll get into this configuration more in detail in the next video. Probably here we'll quickly try to understand how the AutoRP is going to work. Now just now I discussed that the RP is going to advertise itself as an RP. So it is going to advertise by using some multicast address. So it's going to say that I'm an RP. In this scenario, let's say this is my candidate RP, and this candidate RP is going to advertise information on 224.0.1.39. So as an RP for so and so specific group address, and it is saying that I'm the RP for so and so specific group address, and the mapping agent is going to listen on this particular address. Now the mapping agent here is going to listen to these messages, and it's going to figure out the RP, and the mapping agent is going to generate an advertisement using 224.0.1.40 to distribute the RP mapping informations. So it's something like the RP is going to advertise the information on 224.0.1.39, and then mapping agent is going to advertise on 40. So all the remaining routers, they listen on 224.0.1.40, and the mapping agent is going to listen on 224.0.1.39. That's a very simple and a straightforward concept where RP will advertise its own information on 39 multicast address and 224.0.1.39, and the mapping agent is going to listen on this particular address, and then all the remaining routers are going to listen on 224.0.1.40, whereas the mapping information is going to provide the RP information on this address, and all the remaining routers in the PIM domain listen on this particular address. Now this is very important for we to know, because before they actually learn about the RP information, they must know how to reach these multicast addresses. So probably this something we'll get into more in detail in the next video, where we'll see the configuration of auto RP. Now the configuration is very simple and straightforward. We just need to go to the router. Now whichever the router we want, we decided to use an RP. Like here in this scenario, I decided to use router 3 as an RP, and we need to say IP pim send RP announce. So when I give send RP announce, it's nothing but we are advertising that this router is an RP, and we are using the loopback 0 interface. And then the scope is more similar to your TTL value, the number of hops this information has to be propagated. Now whatever the router you decided to use as a mapping agent, like in my scenario I decided to use the same router as a mapping agent, we need to say send RP discovery. Now send RP discovery message is used to configure the mapping agent, and whereas send RP announce is the command to use to configure the RP, that is rendezvous point or candidate RPs we can say.